This is what Championship life was supposed to be like. We've got money in the bank for transfers. We've got money in the bank for wage budget. We've got players who wouldn't look out of place in the Premier League. Admittedly, right at the bottom of the Premier League, but they wouldn't look out of place in the Premier League. Life is good here at Fulham. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 2 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two big games in the Championship. We're at home against Cardiff, managed by Gerrard, my new nemesis and predecessor here at Fulham. And then we're away against our old club, Bristol Rovers, apparently, who are still being managed by Harry Kewell. He's only there as interim manager. I was planning on clearing out my mansion and letting Harry Kewell move in, but he's only earning £1,000 a week, so it might be a little bit out of his price range. I know he was a top-level footballer, but that was a long time ago. Can he still afford a mansion in Bristol? Nobody knows, but he's there as interim manager for the rest of the season. We take them on in the second half of the episode, but first, we want to show Gerrard just how much Fulham have moved on leaps and bounds since he left, because it has been a good time. Our form has been very, very good. One poor result against Millwall aside, it's been green all the way. We're playing beautiful, free-flowing, possession-based, attacking football. We look a very good side. We've just knocked Premier League Wolves out of the FA Cup to sort ourselves a massive game against West Ham in the next round. We've sorted out the finance problems. Obviously, the balance itself, I mean, that's nothing to do with me. That's the chairman's problem. He could sell his moustache and clear that. But I've generated a little bit of transfer budget for myself. Got the wage budget back under control within the budgets. The transfer window does have another 3 or 4 days left. There might be another signing. We shall see. But this is the transfers that we've done so far in this window. We mentioned before we had to sell Andre Frank Zambo Anguissa at a massive loss because his work permit wasn't going to get renewed. So we've cashed in on him while we could. He was also earning nearly £50,000 a week, so he went a long way towards sorting out our wage problem. He's gone to play in the Ukraine, so I would suggest he maybe wasn't a Premier League player in the first place. Not sure what this is all about, but he's gone to play in the Ukraine, where understandably he's looking very good, but yeah, I'm not missing him. Naki Wells has gone to Portsmouth. Hernan Stengel has gone to Perugia. And the three of them combined have brought in the bulk of the money that's given us a little bit of transfer spensies, plus sorted out the wage budget. And we've used that mainly on loan players. There is a free transfer that my head of youth development brought in. I have nothing to do with this move. If he turns out to be good, I will take the credit for it. But this was very much a youth signing. Colin Hopkins, previously of Bournemouth and Hereford, he came in on a free transfer. Weirdly, looking at that, it looks like he played for Hereford this season and then got released, because we didn't sign him directly from Hereford. So he's just been released by a conference team and we've brought him in, so he's going to be cracking. But we have brought in a couple of young Premier League loanees, really to be squad players. I don't expect either of them to be starting, but they're to replace the players that were left. So we've got Darren Tobin, is an 18-year-old midfielder, central midfielder who can play as a defensive midfielder as well. 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's not going to start for us anytime soon, but if we do have some kind of injury crisis, we've got a player knocking around who can slot into a position as needed. He's only here till the end of the season, and to be honest, that's probably all we'll need him for, because we'll do some proper transfers in the summer. These were just cheap players to fill gaps in the squad. It looks like Arsenal are maybe an affiliate club, which is something we need to fix, because we don't like affiliate clubs. I can't actually remember how to do it. Club, affiliates, affiliated clubs, Arsenal. We'll keep it for now, because I didn't realise it when we signed him that they were an affiliate. We'll bin that off at the end of the season. We don't use affiliate clubs. And then Kaysen Pirbai is an attacking midfielder or central midfielder on loan from Spurs till the end of the season. 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. Gives us another option if we want to do a 4-2-3-1 rather than the 4-3-3, which we have done from time to time. But let's get into the first game against Gerrard's Cardiff. We want to give them a firm thumping so that they realise that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I mean, that's coming from me. The grass isn't always greener, though. So this is our team. We've got Rinette in goal, a back four of Brian, Mawson, Shah and Larson. Tyniao. He's our holding midfielder. Calderon and Cullen ahead of him. Mitrovic is our striker, supported by Mitricha. and Hall. I don't know how to say these names. That's the problem. The further up the league structure you get, the more difficult the names get to pronounce as you get less Smiths and whatnot. And I mean, I don't know if we had a Smith. We've had a couple of Smiths probably at this point. Right, team talk. We're going to be assertive. I don't want to say we should be winning it without any problem at all, because that seems a little arrogant. But it seems we are firm favourites for it. You know what? I fully expect you to go out and win this match. Let's give it that. And we are at home. We're in much better form than Cardiff. Cardiff are down in 14th place. Gerrard has taken, assuming he was on the similar money to me when he was here, he's taken a significant pay rise. I did check. He's on about 15 grand a week there. That might just be because he's Steven Gerrard, though. It does seem like a bit of a weird move for him to go from one team to a fairly similar standard of team. But we want to show him that he was wrong to do it. We've gone 1-0 up, and we're all about forcing ourselves firmly into this playoff picture. We've got half a season left to do it. We're dreaming a little bit here because we're playing so well. Brian with the low cross, it's a bit messy. It bounces back and forth between defenders and keeper and our attacker, but it ends up in the back of the net, and that's the important thing. It doesn't matter how they go in, as long as they go in, and as long as we're maintaining this 60+% possession, which we've done in every single game we've played, including the game against Wolves, Premier League team. We dominated possession in that game too. Look at this. Look at the state of that. I don't know what he did at the end, but just the direct run in there from mid. Right, hold on. Let's have a look. Why is it not letting me click on him? Mitrita? Please help me. We need to find out what his first name is. Hall has been linked with a number of Premier League clubs this window. Everton are reportedly interested in an £8 million move for him, which would clear all of our debt, but also take away our best winger. So I'm not really interested in letting him leave. I don't think we need to let him leave. We're within our budgets now. The actual balance can be the board's problem. I'm pretending this didn't happen, by the way. This is, I mean, they've both got, the goals at both ends have been scrappy. It was a decent header, but we had a man on the line and it hits him. And if you've got a man on the line at a corner and it hits him, you kind of expect it to not go in the back of the net. That looked like it had crossed the line. Where's my VAR when I need it? That hit the inside of the post and then continued going towards the goal before the keeper plucked it out. Now, if it's hit the inside of the post and then continued going goalwards, surely it's gone over the line. Apparently not. Right, team talk. Let's be assertive. Yes, now we can avenge. We love avenging. Let's avenge ourselves. Why couldn't we avenge before the match? Are we now avenging the first half? Because I don't know there was much of avenging needs doing after the first half. The first half... Oh, apologies if we just had a big jump cut there. Everything just stopped. Everything stopped recording. Well, I say everything. The footage stopped recording. And we're sorted now. We're back. Worry not. We're still not winning the game, though. So we do need to worry a little bit about that. Let's... Mitrovic isn't playing well at all. Let's bring on McBurney. That's a simple enough change. And Calderon, I think we're going to... We haven't got Albrighton available. And normally, at this point, Albrighton would be on the left and I'd bring Mitrita. He'd play in... Right, how do we say his name? Mitrita. Is that right? Mitrita? Mitrita. We'd normally play him in there with Albrighton on the left, but Albrighton's not available today. So... I think we'll just do a straight swap in midfield, bring Mendy on in midfield to try and offer us something a little bit different maybe. And just, I don't know, should we demand more? Demanding more often seems to work. There you go, look, they're all focused. They love it when I demand things of them. That still hasn't really worked. What else can we do? Hall isn't playing very well because I was talking about how great he is and it's put too much pressure on him clearly. I wonder if we bring Freddie Power on for him. Freddie Power's played a couple of times for us. He's a youngster, mainly a striker, but can play out in the wing. I tell you what, let's bring him on, have a little look at him as well. He's not the best winger in the world, but he might grab a goal for us. You never know. A draw is not a disaster in this game. Certainly, remember, when we arrived, we were told we were supposed to be finishing mid-table this year. We've had a very good run of form. It's not a disaster if we don't continue the run of form for the rest of the season, although it'd be very nice to grab a goal here. McBurney is in, and there you go. That's what £5 million buys you. I didn't really rate him when I first arrived, but he's come off the bench a few times and done exactly that. Mitrovic is still looking to get away from the club, and I'm thinking... You know what? If someone came in and offered me £10 million for Mitrovic before the window closes, I think I'd probably take it and just go with McBurney, because he doesn't ever let me down when he comes on. He's scored almost as many goals as Mitrovic this season as well. He's a decent option as a striker for us. So I think Brian comes across with the tackle. I mean, we're solid at the back. I panic as if we're still Bristol Rovers manager, but look at how we've controlled this game. We're a very good side. And I've really not done very much to it. There's none of the players I've signed are even in the matchday squad. We've won a penalty there. We're still using the preset control possession tactic. It's been the most plug and play experience in the history of Football Manager. Shows just how good this squad was to begin with and how mismanaged the last couple of managers have been, because they finished 17th last year with largely this squad. I don't know how this squad finishes 17th. Just like how I didn't understand how Bristol Rovers were mid-table when I arrived, I don't understand why Fulham weren't top of the league when I arrived. Clearly, I don't have a lot of impact on the teams I'm managing. But, let's not open that can of worms. Right, let's passionately say, I am pleased with that result. Good work. Let's go beat Bristol Rovers. Well, there was one more transfer then, or two more, I guess. One left, one arrived. It was all forced through by Fabian Schär. I guess I don't need to know whether it's Fabian or Fabian now, who decided he didn't want to be a Fulham player anymore and forced for a move to Aston Villa. I had to agree that I'd let him go if they met a £3.3 million asking price, and that's exactly what they came in and did. So he's gone to play in the Premier League for Aston Villa. I mean, he's 31. It's not the end of the world that we've let a 31-year-old defender go. Obviously, with it all happening on deadline day, we didn't have time to identify anyone to bring in permanently. I say we didn't have time to identify anybody. We did have a look at a couple, and we had deals agreed with Taylor Moore and some other guy who's not on there anymore. This guy who's no longer interested for transfer. Well, he was, because we almost signed him, but he was £2 million. He does look good, but I can't see everything at the moment. We didn't have time to scout him fully. I didn't want to spend our entire transfer budget on a guy that we couldn't scout fully. This guy, he was the other option who we had a deal agreed with. I think he'd have done a decent job for us, but at 25 and no better than what we had, he'd be coming in to be a rotation player for us. And rather than panic by, he was going to be over £1 million, rather than panic by someone who'd be a rotation or someone who hadn't been fully scouted, this guy popped up on that day's scout reports as a potential loanee from Everton. Ryan Astley, as far as I'm concerned, having an R. Astley in my team is excellent stuff. He's similar to what the other Moore would have been. He's about as good as Moore, so he's come in to be a rotation player on loan until the end of the season. He's played a season in the Championship before for Barnsley, played games in League One as well for Accrington and Birmingham. He's a decent enough rotation player for us. If he turns out to be awesome, then we can sign him permanently or extend his loan, but it's much lower risk, £750 a week on loan. If he's rubbish, we send him back. So in a panic buy situation, I think I did quite well there. So this is the team for the Bristol Rovers game. Obviously, losing Schär, we've just drafted Liam Moore straight into play at the back alongside Mawson. We've also got Albrighton available again now, so he comes back into the team on the left-hand side of midfield, with Mitrita dropping down to the bench. He then becomes our impact sub again, coming on there if we need him later in the game. So let's have a look to see what Harry Kewell has done to my Bristol Rovers team. The left back I signed seems to be playing as an attacking midfielder. Adam Lewis, I guess he can play there. I signed him to be a wing back, and he's their attacking midfielder. I mean, that says a lot. I mean, it still looks like a rubbish team. Obviously, I'd take this guy in a heartbeat. But the rest of them, who's he? Who are you, George Long? Oh, you're on loan now. You're making your debut. Interesting. What's wrong with Bender? Where is Bender? It looks like Bender's gone because Joe Day's on the bench. Well, there you have it. That is a team that this team should absolutely smash. But the way Football Manager works, obviously, I'll probably get punished for leaving. Recent form standings have them 13th. We're second. 13th in the form standings is excellent for Bristol Rovers. It's better than I ever did in my year. They're getting back to, I mean, they're out of the relegation zone. Harry Kewell is a Mick McCarthy quality manager. I'm clearly not as good as either of them. Although I'm better than Steven Gerrard because I've taken... It's complicated. Obviously, different managers suit different clubs. I didn't suit Bristol Rovers. I was miserable the whole time I was there. The only thing keeping me happy was all my money and my big mansion. But Fulham are much closer to my mentality and how I want to do things. They want young players playing attacking, pretty, possession-based football. And look, it's so much fun playing this kind of football that I couldn't really do at Bristol Rovers because of the quality of players that we had. And I've never been any good at hoofball, which I think is what you probably have to do with a team like Bristol Rovers to survive at this level. I am going to get confused at some point during this game now and forget which team I'm managing. This is very complicated. Right, Brian comes across to cover Tyler Roberts, who was charging through there. And now, look, we're just going to knock it around our midfield. We know Bristol Rovers don't have this in their locker because we tried to get them to do this and they couldn't. Right, here's Hall. Plenty of space on the right wing. Beats one man, forces a save out of new boy goalkeeper at Bristol Rovers, who seemed to make a decent enough save. Larson to take the corner. Corner comes across. That's the one area where they are probably going to be stronger than us. That being said, we've just scored from it. Absolutely unstoppable from Calderon, it says on the little commentary at the bottom of the screen. It was a bit of a screamer from the edge of the area. Corner came in. Fold's head's clear. We were not even challenging for that, but as soon as it fell to Calderon from the Mawson knockdown, bang. 1-0 to Fulham. Puts us... We were fourth before the game. I don't know how we're ahead and have dropped down to fifth. There must have been games that happened just before ours did. Multiple games. I'm confused. But here's Hall running down the right wing again. We did manage to keep hold of him through the transfer window, which I think is a bit of a coup. Obviously, if we can get ourselves up into the Premier League this year, then we can keep him. If we don't, he's probably going to be leaving in the summer for a lot of money. But Mitrovic has just put us 2-0 up. His 11th for the season. It's good to have Old Brighton back in the team again. Old Brighton's another one, though, who I probably am going to have to... I'm probably going to have to replace in the summer. He's 33 now. And, I mean, we've got... what's the other guy's name? Mitrita. He can play out there as an inside forward quite well. We saw him do it in the last game. But I think with our new focusing on youth mentality, the likes of Albrighton and Shah and Moore, who's coming to the team today, we've got a lot of players who are in their 30s. We need to be starting to move some of those on. Freshening things up a little bit with some promising youngsters once we've got some money to go and buy some with. As it is, we're having to use loans at the moment. Look, we're knocking the ball around the back again. I love the fact I'm managing a team that's capable of doing this. We're just finding little pockets of space, knocking the ball around, short passing, possession football. It is beautiful to watch. And there's Mitrovic, and that's 3-0. And I'm starting to feel a little bit guilty. Imagine being a Bristol Rovers fan after putting up with a year of the tripe that I served up for them. Have me come back 6 games into my new job and absolutely tear them apart. They've not even had a shot, and we are knocking the ball around them, not letting them touch it, and making them look very, very poor. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, they had unrealistic budgetary expectations from me. I mean, it wasn't their fault. They just weren't good enough for this league. And there's my man, Josh Da Silva, who I will be looking to bring with me in the summer because he's a superstar. If we can get him for a reasonable price, he'll be a Fulham player before too long. We couldn't bring him in this transfer window just because it wasn't a player we really needed to strengthen the squad with. But I'll get rid of 4 midfielders if I have to make a spot for Josh Da Silva to slot into the squad for next. Unless we're in the Premier League, he's probably never going to be a Premier League player. Tyler Roberts has a shot, comes back off the post. That looks familiar. Gets himself into a decent opportunity, but fluffs it completely. I know that song. Right, half time. You might be winning, but you could still. Don't let your performance levels drop. Exactly. 3-0 up at half time. Don't get complacent. That's the message here. This is the first game where we've not been up in the 60% possession realm. It's bizarre that Bristol Rovers are the team who are fighting for possession with us, because that's something we never did when I was manager there. We would regularly get 30 or 40% possession in a game, even if we were trying to get more. That job was cursed for me from the start. I don't know how I survived it and came out of it smelling like roses, but I did. Right, we're going to start making some substitutions, I think. We've got a couple of players who aren't yet above a 7, which they need punishing for it. Right, Hall can come off. We'll stick McBurney out on the wing. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And Cullen can come off for Mendy, who can slot straight into that midfield position. at his expense. I do want to bring Mitrita on at some point as well, probably for Tainyao. I only want one player on the pitch at a time whose name I can't pronounce, so I'll probably make that change in the near future. Adebayo, there you go. He's 12th for the season. He's got himself a little, hopefully just a consolation goal. I like to think I saved that man's career by teaching him how to score goals again. Jabello, who I brought to English football, does well to set it up. But that's it now. We don't want any more of a Bristol Rovers comeback. That's plenty. Yes, we're going to carry on with the tactical changes. Brian's not having a great game, so we might have to keep an eye on that. But here's Larson with the corner. Again, we're not going to really compete in that kind of situation. It looks like Tyler Roberts has dropped back a little bit deeper, because I've just noticed he's still on the pitch, but Adebayo is playing up front on his own. I know Kuhl's done that a couple of times, because I have been keeping an eye on Bristol Rovers. He's been playing Tyler Roberts as an attacking midfielder sometimes, which seems weird. Just play the two of them up front, he says, with his £5 million striker McBurney out on the wing, because he only wants to play one striker. It's just one striker's trendy. You got to do one striker. Two strikers. Oh, are you a caveman? Right. This is a bit worrying, because they are coming at us again and they've scored again. And it's now 3-2. And after having so much fun in the first half, I am now starting to worry a little bit, because they're doing quite well. They're coming back into this game. Now imagine being a Bristol Rovers fan and you can taste blood. You can feel the opportunity to make me look like a moron, and you want it. Right, let's show some passion. What can we do to change things up? I don't want to drop down to a more conservative mentality, because I've never tried it with us and I don't know if we're capable of doing it. What I am going to do is bring on Steven Sessegnon for Brian, who's not having a very good game. He can sit there at left back. We've done that plenty of times since we've been here as well. Larson with the corner. McBurney! And again, and it's off the line. It was a good save first time round. Then a clearance off the line. Hopefully, we're not going to live to rue that. Oh, please, can we score again? I don't want to lose against Bristol. Or even, I don't want to draw against Bristol Rovers. I was giving it all that for most of the game. And now they're worrying me a little bit. There you go. Forget this knocking it around at the back now. Lump it forward. Get it away from our goal. That's all that matters. And there you go. We have clung on in the end to another victory. Right. Let's yeah. Second half, we were terrible there. So gives us the opportunity to tell them off a little bit as well, which should sharpen up the minds ready for the next little run of games. But let's have a little look at the league table, because I think the league table is going to be looking very, very pleasant for us. So we are in 5th place after 31 games, 6 points clear in the playoffs. So we've got to be thinking in terms of playoffs is a realistic thing for us now. I mean, there's a smaller gap to there than there is to there. So we've got to be focusing on getting into the playoffs and then seeing if anything else can come on top of that. So let's see, when are we going to come back for another game? I don't necessarily want to do another game that quickly and show you the FA Cup round. So I think we'll just assume we're getting knocked out of the FA Cup there. If we do manage to win, then I'll definitely show you what will be the quarter-final. We'll come back for that. Otherwise, we'll probably come back somewhere around Preston, Palace, Bolton, this kind of region. It's about the halfway point between where we are now and the end of the season. Gives us a chance to check in once more before doing the run-in, and then hopefully the playoffs. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.